My name is Helen Mitchell, 80 years old. Last year, a contractor named Ryan Parker knocked on my door claiming he was working in the neighborhood and noticed my roof had serious damage that needed immediate repair. Ryan was 43, charming, and very convincing. Mrs. Mitchell, you've got missing shingles and water damage. If you don't fix this now, you'll have major leaks this winter. I can give you a great deal since I'm already here. $8,500 for a complete roof repair. I was worried. The roof was 20 years old and might need work. Ryan showed me photos on his phone of what he claimed was my roof, pointing out critical damage. I agreed to the repair. Ryan asked for $4,000 up front for materials. I wrote the check. He said he'd start work the next day. The next morning, Ryan and his crew arrived. They spent 3 hours on my roof, making lots of noise. Then Ryan came to my door with bad news. Mrs. Mitchell, it's worse than I thought. The underlayment is completely rotted. You need a full roof replacement, not just repairs. It's going to be another $18,000. I was frightened. Ryan showed me photos of rotted wood that he claimed was from my roof. If we don't fix this now, your entire roof could collapse. This is an emergency. Scared and pressured, I agreed. I withdrew $18,000 from my savings and paid Ryan in cash as he requested. Over the next week, Ryan kept discovering additional problems. The chimney needed repair, $6,000. The gutters were damaged, $4,000. The attic ventilation needed upgrading, $3,000. Each time, Ryan would show me photos of damage and use scare tactics about safety and structural integrity. By the end of 2 weeks, I'd paid Ryan $38,000 total. He promised everything would be completed in 3 days. Ryan and his crew left and never came back. His phone was disconnected. The business address he'd given me was fake. Ryan Parker had vanished with $38,000 of my money. Worse, when I had a real roofing company inspect the work, they told me Ryan had actually damaged my roof. He'd removed perfectly good shingles, cut holes in my underlayment, and left my roof worse than before. The repairs Ryan claimed to do were never done. He'd just stolen my money and vandalized my property. I was devastated. That $38,000 was most of my savings, but everyone told me contractor scams were impossible to prosecute. These guys work in cash and disappear. You'll never get your money back. But they forgot something about me. Before I retired at 70, I was a private investigator for 42 years. I specialized in skip tracing, finding people who didn't want to be found. I wasn't going to let Ryan Parker disappear. I started investigating. Ryan had used a fake business name, but he'd made mistakes. He'd driven a truck with distinctive damage to the front bumper. He'd paid his crew with checks from a bank account, and one worker had carelessly left a payment stub at my property. I used that bank account number to trace Ryan's real identity. His actual name was Ryan Kellerman, and he had a criminal record for contractor fraud in 2 other states. He'd scammed at least 8 elderly homeowners before me, stealing over $200,000 total. I hired a private investigator colleague who tracked Ryan to a rental house 2 towns away. Ryan was already targeting new victims using the same working in the neighborhood scheme. I contacted the state contractor licensing board, the Better Business Bureau, and the district attorney's office. I provided them with everything: Ryan's real identity, his criminal history, his current location, photos of the damage he'd caused, financial records of my payments, and evidence of his other victims. The district attorney opened a criminal investigation. Detectives discovered Ryan's entire operation was a systematic fraud targeting elderly homeowners. He'd stolen over $280,000 from 15 victims in our state alone. Ryan was arrested at a victim's home while collecting a $12,000 down payment. Police seized his truck, his tools, and his phone, containing evidence of dozens more scams across multiple states. At trial, I testified as the key witness. Ryan Parker, whose real name is Ryan Kellerman, used scare tactics and fake damage photos to defraud me of $38,000. He deliberately damaged my roof to make his scam more convincing. He's a professional predator who targets elderly women. The prosecutor presented evidence of Ryan's 15 victims and his multi-state fraud operation. Ryan's defense was weak. He claimed he was a legitimate contractor who'd been overwhelmed by the jobs. The jury convicted him on 14 counts of fraud, theft, and elder abuse. The judge sentenced Ryan to 12 years in prison. Mr. Kellerman, you systematically targeted elderly homeowners, used scare tactics to pressure them into unnecessary repairs, and stole their life savings. You caused over $280,000 in losses. 12 years in prison. Through asset seizures and restitution orders, I recovered $22,000 of my stolen $38,000. My homeowner's insurance covered the additional $8,000 needed to properly repair the damage Ryan caused to my roof. Ryan is now 3 years into his 12-year sentence. His contractor fraud ring is destroyed. The 8 crew members who worked with him were also prosecuted and sentenced to probation. I'm 80 years old. A professional con artist targeted me because he thought an elderly widow would be an easy victim who wouldn't fight back. Ryan forgot that some elderly widows spent 42 years as private investigators finding people who thought they could hide. I tracked him down, gathered evidence, coordinated with law enforcement, and testified at his trial. Ryan thought he could disappear with my money. Instead, he disappeared into federal prison. My roof is properly repaired now. Every time it rains and the roof doesn't leak, I think about Ryan sitting in prison, learning that underestimating an 80-year-old private investigator was the biggest mistake of his criminal career. Subscribe for more scam revenge. Never miss justice against con artists.